Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. As you guys will see, the Corvette is still on the list behind us, but you will also notice that the SS has its hood up. So what car will we be working on today? We're kind of be working on both of them because the part that's going on the SS is actually coming from the Corvette. And you guys might be wondering, well, what is that? Well, you guys will remember my dyno failure video of the Corvette that's behind me. And you guys will remember I had one particular issue. And that one particular issue, well, actually multiple issues, but one in particular involved this 102mm throttle body in my hand. This is a 102, it's by a company called ProFlow. This is the last chance for this throttle body. So as I theorized when I had the throttle body issues with the Corvette, we tried to put an LS3 style throttle body on an LS2, and I think the technology and the sensor is different. It's wired. It might be wired differently. And the other contributing factor is the fact that the throttle body opens in a different direction. So with that in mind, one of my friends also bought the same throttle body for his G8, and the throttle body did not work on his car either. So, you know, might be another strike for this type of throttle body, at least from this particular vendor. So I have a 1-year warranty on this throttle body, and it's probably been, give or take, 6 months. And I reached out to the guy to actually return this a while back, but kind of was always just waiting for a moment to put on the SS. If it works at all, cool. If it doesn't, it's going back. So that's what we're going to do today. I actually have to do some work on the intake on the SS, but that'll be a separate video. Since we have to take this all apart anyway, we might as well just go ahead and try to stick this throttle body, you know, on the car. So we may run into an issue with a throttle body extension harness. I don't know at this point. I'm not sure if this 102 will hit the belt drive for the supercharger, for the LSA. You know, this is really close. I mean, we've got like a millimeter or two here, but I just don't know in the casting difference, like what's going to be going on, if that's going to hit it. Well, if it does, then this whole project might be for naught. I don't know, maybe not. I guess we'll just see. So we've got a couple things going on. First is, will it work at all? Like, will the throttle body control, you know, will the gas pedal control the throttle body? That also has to do with the tune. The second item is going to be, are we going to be able to even open the blade on a stock supercharger? I have not ported this thing at all. My friend that had the same issue with this type of throttle body on this car, he had it ported. So we may run into an issue there. I do have a small resolution for that, maybe, but we'll see. And so we've got a couple items. And third, the third item would be, will this throttle body fit with our 4-inch intake? Because this is a 4-inch opening. This is a 4-inch pipe. This is a little bit bigger, you know, in depth. I don't know, you know. So we're just, honestly, guys, we're just going to have to take this apart and see. We've got the 102mm ready. The stock 90mm throttle body is off. And as you guys can see, we've kind of taken the intake apart and just moved it out of the way. So first thing to do will be to fit the 102 onto the car and see if the blade will open at all. It may not. And the second thing we're going to have to do is actually get some longer hardware, because these bolts will not fit. I will not be able to get a socket around it, you know. So we're going to have to switch to hardware. So we could either pull them off the Corvette, or I have this set of basically hardware I got off Amazon. I think it was 15 or 20 bucks for this whole set. I'll have a link in the description down below for this. So basically this is going to be a 6-point socket, and should be able to plug this in. We have run into our first problem. The first problem being the throttle body is definitely hitting the stock supercharger pulley. Now, if I had a smaller pulley on here, this may go. I have the top 2 bolts kind of, they're not even, I mean, they're just hand tight, but I haven't even, there's a gap on the bottom. So yeah, the bottom of the throttle body is not touching the supercharger itself. So my first solution is actually going to be this little billet adapter from ICT Billet. I bought this on Amazon. The part number is 551563. I believe this was around 20 bucks, maybe 15 or $20. Nothing too super expensive, but basically what this will do is this will bolt between the LSA blower and the 102mm throttle body. This will give us a gasket on this side, but it will not give us a gasket on the back side. Now, I am 100% positive if I try to put this on the blower, the green gasket will be inside this ring. So what we're going to do is remove that gasket, take the gasket off the Corvette, and try that setup. If that's going to work, we may actually try to fire this thing up, but you know, we'll see. So let's get this throttle body off. Let's take the Corvette apart and try this whole gasket and billet spacer piece. All right, guys, here's what I've learned so far. With the 1/2-inch throttle body spacer that we have right here, you will clear the supercharger pulley by a good bit. You will also clear the throttle blade inside the blower, so you don't necessarily have to port out the supercharger snout for this particular throttle body. But to be honest, guys, I mean, it's kind of the point of this whole thing is to take advantage of that. So that will also clear. Also, your throttle body extension harness will plug in, and then you're just gonna have to figure a way to route it so it doesn't hit the belt. I would probably zip tie it to the fuel vap purge solenoid that's up here, and that should be good. Now you guys will see that I don't have the throttle body screwed all the way in. Now I ended up dropping both of my hex bits that fit these bolts down into the car, and as you guys can see, I started taking the car apart to get to it, but I'm just, at this point, yeah, I almost don't care. So I will tighten down one of the corners and see if this thing will fit with our intake setup and see what we'll have to move. The problem is when you put your hardware, so your screw or bolt through the spacer is threaded. So when you're tightening this down, it's going to tighten against the throttle body first before it ever tries to tighten against the supercharger. So, you know, as you guys can see, I don't know if you can see that, but I'm wiggling the gasket, the throttle body gasket with my finger. So this thing will never tighten up the way we currently have this. The second issue, with the spacer, throttle body, and all that being pushed out another 1/2 inch, well, guess what? The intake is now hitting the rotofab cover. Well, okay, I haven't put the throttle body, you know, I haven't put the intake on the throttle body, but, you know, just, it's super close. And as you guys can see, this is from previous, this had rubbed earlier. So it's going to probably hit the rotofab. Guess what else isn't going to fit? Our PCV system isn't going to fit anymore because, you know, this is the stock ZL1, and I drilled this at a specific location for the ZL1 stuff. And so that's all out of whack as well. So just bunch of issues, man, that are just fighting us. So I've had nothing but issues trying to get this throttle body on. So what I think I'm going to do is take the spacer out. I already have the gasket from the Corvette over here. So I think what we're going to do is take the adapter off. It's just not going to fit. What we can do is try to flip the throttle body, put the gasket on, and see what's going to happen. Now, this may work, this may not work. And the other problem is we may run into the blade actually hitting the supercharger, you know, because we haven't ported it out. Again, guys, this is just for trial, you know, fitment issues and mock-up. This isn't for like final assembly or anything. So I think the spacer's not going to work out just because everything, like I said, the hardware. Now, if I had studs pushed into the supercharger and I just had to put a nut on the end, I think that setup would work, but then, you know, you're pushing everything outside of alignment by an extra 1/2 inch. The PCV system, the intake system, I haven't even checked the math. Okay, I guess the math will line up, but, you know, just multiple issues with that. I have put the throttle body on upside down. I have checked the blade to supercharger bore, is not going to hit it. I also had to extend, I just kind of rerouted my throttle body extension harness, and it fits. We actually have completed this install. We have the MAF plugged in. We have the throttle body flipped over. You can see the logo, the Profilo logo. We have put the pipe back in. We've put the hose clamps on. The intake's tight. The throttle body supercharger bolts are tight. The harness has been moved. I moved the throttle body harness. All I had to do was actually I had kind of shoved it back here along the coil packs. Just pulled on a little bit, moved it, some stuff out of the way. Got that extended throttle body harness to fit all the way over here. So we are pretty much ready to fire this thing up. Let's get in the car and see what it'll do. Oh, it's not happy. We've got a check engine light and see what else. Oh, the motor's in reduced power mode. Let's try throttling it. So pay attention to the tach. It's idling at like 1,000 RPM. I have it floored and it's only going to 1,500 RPM. It won't even, yeah, it won't even come back down. You guys can hear me. Okay. Well, that's it for this thing. Now we could go ahead and check the codes, but I can tell you this, it's going to be like throttle body position out of range, probably something like that. And we've gone down this road before. We had this same problem in the Corvette, you know, check engine light, reduced power. And I kind of like, oh, well, that's fine. You know, won't be a big deal. But this is the death blow to that particular 102mm throttle body. And after 2 cars, one's an LS2, which I gave benefit of the doubt with that having issues. But this is an LS3 car, LS3 based car. The throttle body opens the exact same way. The wiring is 100% the same. We're done. I'm officially done with this throttle body. And it's going to go back to the manufacturer. Now you guys might say, oh, but you need to go get it tuned. Honestly, guys, after having the shop, my tuner tried, you know, spend like 2 solid days on the Corvette trying to get this thing tuned, and it's not working on this car either. I'm done, man. Like we're taking this thing off, throwing it back in a box and sending it back. You know, I wanted to give the manufacturer the benefit of the doubt. Okay, maybe it's something screwed up with the Corvette, but this is 2 cars it doesn't work on. Technically 3 cars. Buddy of mine bought the same throttle body from the same manufacturer, and he took it right off. He had his tuner try to tune it, not my tuner, a separate tuner try to tune it, and sent him a bunch of files. He flashed it, never got it working. And I was reading a thread about these really cheap 102 throttle bodies. They either work or they don't. You plug it in and it works, or it doesn't. I'm pretty much done with this thing. So, but I'll say this, we do have everything mocked up if we ever want to go 102mm in the future and actually spend the money for a Nick Williams throttle body, for a proper throttle body. This will work perfectly. Now the only difference between this throttle body and the Nick Williams might be in the future is I'd have to port the supercharger. You know, I just happen to get away with this throttle body opening all the way, and I checked. Put a flashlight down the throat of the throttle body, if that's what you want to call it. I opened the blade all the way manually. It wasn't touching either side, so we should be good there. But you know, if we go down that route, yeah, I have 1 of 2 options. 1, port it myself like we did the E-Force. 2, send it out to get ported. Now that's a hard, almost a hard decision to make, because the time I have in the throttle body over there, you know, for that car I didn't care. It was like, yeah, if I port it, whatever. But this is like the car that works. You know, I want it kind of done professionally. Time is money, as they say. I think I had 4 or 5 hours in just the throttle body opening on the E-Force. This one, there's companies with CNC machines that can do a 5-axis CNC port job on these. So if I had that available for the E-Force, I probably would have done it. But there's no one was going to spend the time to do the R&D for that. But with these LSAs being very popular, CTSVs, ZL1s, the SSs, whatever you swap it onto, you know, there's a popular demand for these blowers and programs like that. So I may give one of those CNC programmed guys a call and just see what it's going to run. I have a rough idea, but maybe we'll take some of the ideas I learned from the Corvette, with the max efficiency, so like ported blower, ported snout, big throttle body, and maybe we'll apply that to this car. And honestly, guys, there are a couple companies that sell 5-inch intakes. RPM's one of them out of Delaware. There's a couple SS companies, that specialize in the SS. They sell them, but I'm kind of like, eh. I've only got like $100-ish in the Spectre setup, and seems to work just fine, and it's 4-inch to 4-inch, but I don't know. And the RPM one, I would have to modify. I think it's like $500. That's kind of a big bill to, just for a couple of horsepower, but I don't know. We'll see where this ends up taking us, but for now, putting the stock throttle body back on, and we're done. I hope you guys found this video informative. We went into a little bit more detail on adding the 102, what adapters you need, what will, what won't work, and all that. So we'll have all the part numbers listed down below for all the stuff that we use for this, and we'll go from there. Oh, and one last thing I forgot. The PCV won't work either. So as you guys can see, the throttle body facing that way will not work. So if you guys decide to go down the route of a cheap throttle body, don't. Why? Because you're just going to end up wasting your time, end up wasting your tuner's time. While this throttle body was super cheap, it wasn't worth the time and effort, because I've now struggled on 2 cars that this thing has failed on, the Corvette and the SS. So, but I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a big thumbs up. If you haven't already subscribed, please do. If you want to know when I upload new content, hit the bell notification button down below. And as always, if you want to help support the channel, click all the links down below. Thanks, guys. Have a great